healthy, there is imbalance in the structure, there's dis-ease, and that can affect your whole body, mentally, physically, emotionally. In this practice, we'll bring awareness to your feet, obviously, stretching, strengthening, waking them up. And this kind of focused attention can improve your balance, reduce your risk of falling, and help your body absorb shock more efficiently. And it also feels really good. Now, just because we're focusing on the feet doesn't mean that we're not going to be looking at other areas of the body. Please remember that yoga is an holistic practice. We do address the fact that the body is an entire being, and how your knees and hips are feeling, and even your shoulders can affect your feet, or how your feet are feeling can affect, as I just mentioned, the rest of the structure in the body. So we will be looking at other joints and areas of the body in this practice. And here's something else that's beautiful to know. In our Chinese medicine theory, all three yin meridians, or energy channels of the leg, spleen, liver and kidney, and all three yang energy channels, stomach, gallbladder and the urinary bladder, either begin or end in the feet. So every time we take a step, or every time we stimulate the feet, we're actually stimulating and influence good energy chi flow in the body, throughout the body. So from a Chinese medicine model, the feet are really, really important. When you care for your feet, you nourish the energy, vitality and harmony in the whole system, in all the systems of the body. And here's something else. Your feet are filled with nerve endings that send constant messages to your brain. When your feet are awake, your brain is more engaged, and that helps you stay grounded and steady in physically, mentally and emotionally, which is all the things that we try to address in yoga. So today we're going to reconnect with our base of support that literally carries us forward, one loving step at a time. So for this practice, you will need a chair. Even if you're not a big fan of chair yoga, you're going to need a chair to actually do some of these exercises. And I will be jumping on and off the chair just to demonstrate that you can do this on the floor and also from a chair. So all of these practices, all these exercises that we'll be doing can either be on the floor or on the chair. We will also be standing. If that's not an option for you, you can do a lot of what we'll be doing sat on your chair. So a lot of that is bringing awareness to feeling your feet on the floor. So you will need a chair, you will need a yoga strap or something similar, like a belt or a scarf or something like that, and a yoga block if you have it, but if not, a piece, a sturdy piece of Tupperware that's about, yay thick, or a good sturdy book. So if you need to go and grab those things, pause me and come back, and I'll see you on the mat. Okay, so finding my lesson plan. And I should also mention that as I was preparing this lesson plan, I realized that I will most likely be doing a second practice to this one, addressing more of our working with the feet. So look out for that. Okay, so coming to a comfortable standing position to begin with, and if you need to stand behind a chair and use the chair for the support, then go right ahead. And just taking some time here to notice how you're standing. So feeling your feet on the floor, noticing which direction your feet naturally go in as you stand here. So not forcing yourself into any particular position. It might be that one foot naturally turns out. Maybe both feet naturally turn out or in. So just stand naturally and just let the bones stack, the big joints stack on top of one another. So feeling the shoulders over the hips over the knees over the feet. And feet are about shoulders width or hips width apart. And just letting the tailbone drop down, not standing rigid, just standing with ease. And just use your internal compass, your internal awareness to notice how it feels to be standing on your 2 feet. How often do we do this, right? Only in yoga class. So I encourage you to do this other times too. And just taking a couple of nice long breaths here, noticing how you feel. And just relax fully. Have a little bit of softness in the knees. And just feeling the soles of the feet on the floor. If you're sat in a chair, sit upright with a nice long spine. Sit away from the back of the chair. Put the weight into your seat bones. And again, feel the soles of the feet on the floor. Take your shoes off. Wriggle your toes. Notice how that feels. And notice the weight as well. Is there more weight in one foot than the other? Is there more weight towards the front or the heels? Just being fully aware of how you stand naturally. Good. Let's take a couple of more breaths here. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Soften the facial muscles. Good. Standing on your 2 feet, but with ease. Breathing deeply. Good. Okay, let's begin a little bit of movement. So you may want to use the support of a wall or a chair and just shift the weight into one foot and just begin to circle the toes on the floor. So just moving, keeping the big toe on the floor and then just drawing circles with the heel of the foot if you like. Just bringing a little bit of movement into the foot, a few circles in each direction. Good. And then let's switch sides. So settling the weight into the opposite foot, circling the opposite heel around the point of the toe on the floor. Keep the foot nice and relaxed. Notice how this feels. You may not love this. Like, people don't like working with their feet, and I think that's where we run into trouble. They have a lot of stuff going on in their feet when they start to take notice of what's happening. So it is important to take care of our feet. Good. And letting that go, you can shake the feet out a little bit. And I'm just turning on the side here so you can see, let's come up onto just the toes and push down a little bit to your comfort level. And just bump the heel down just a couple of times. So just noticing how that feels. Again, keep the leg and the toes and the foot nice and relaxed. So we're just stretching, flexing the toes here a little bit. Good. Now take, same foot, let's take the hairy side of the toes down onto the mat and have a little bit of an ankle stretch. So extending the toes, and see if you can bring the tops of each toe to the floor. That's the tricky part. If you're seated, then just take your foot to the side and find a way to do this. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Good. Shake that out. Let's switch sides. So just pushing the toes down into the floor, have a little bit of a stretch here, and then bumping the heel down onto the floor. Good. We're just waking up all the tissues in the feet and the legs at this point. One more bump, and then placing the hairy side of the toes down on the floor. Little stretch on the front of the ankle, and there's going to be some movements here that you don't enjoy. You'll be like, ick, that feels horrid. And I encourage you to do what you can do. Okay, don't do anything injurious, but do something. So notice I'm giving you the target area, so the front of the foot, front of the ankle. That's where I want you to feel the stretch. I don't care how you achieve that. Do it to your comfort level. Make sure it feels like a healthy, comfortable stretch. Good. And again, you can shake that out. Okay, so this time we're going to come up on both our toes and bump the heels down. So from the side, up on the toes of both our feet, and then bumping the heel down. And this can be an interesting exercise in your balance. Keep a little bit of softness behind your knees. You can place your hands on your lower back if you like, or on your hips. And just coming up on the toes, bumping the heels down. This is actually a Qigong movement, and it has an interesting name. Heel bumps to cure 100 illnesses. I don't know if it does that. I guess we'll find out. Good. Couple more bumps down. Keep breathing. Lovely. And again, shake that out. Now, I'm going to move down onto my hands and knees on the floor for cat-cow. If you want to do this seated, my chair yoga people do know this. We can do cat-cow seated. So inhaling, we open up the chest, deepen that lumbar curve. Exhaling, rounding the spine, dropping the chin down. Inhaling, opening up, exhaling, rounding. And when you open up, you can look up to the sky if that's comfortable for your neck. Exhaling, pulling the belly back, rounding. Taking it to the floor, we come onto our hands and knees, and inhaling, we look forwards, again deepen that lumbar curve. Exhaling, rounding the spine. Inhale, look forwards, deepen that lumbar curve, let your tail fly. Exhaling, rounding, dropping the crown of the head, tucking the pelvis under. Repeating that 3 or 4 more times to your comfort level, and you're probably questioning, what has this got to do with my feet? Well, as I mentioned, yoga is an holistic practice, and we accept and acknowledge that the entire body is connected. All the systems of the body are connected. So feet affect knees, hips, spine, shoulders, neck. Likewise, your neck how you carry your head and your neck and your shoulders is going to affect your spine, your hips, your knees, and your feet. So we do work the whole body, although there is a particular special focus on the feet in this class. Good. And one more last rounding of the spine. You can make this a good one. Good. Get into that whole back body. Feels delicious. Okay. Next, you will need your strap. Now, if you're seated, you just place the strap around your foot. We're going to look for a hamstring and calf muscles stretch. I'm going to do this resting back. So you decide how you want to practice this. If you're in a chair, you just have to imagine that the floor is the back of the chair, and then we place the strap around the foot, around one foot. You can keep the other knee bent if you like, particularly if you have lower back discomfort. And then we lengthen the heel towards the floor. So the strap here is purely to support the leg. And try not to wrap the strap around your hands. Keep the energy flowing, the blood flowing through the hand and the arm. And you can inhale and relax the knee here, and then exhaling, lengthen through the heel towards the sky, and think of pushing the back of the pelvis into the floor at the same time. And as you continue at your own pace, I encourage you to explore turning the foot out a little bit or turning the foot in a little bit, and just notice how that changes the stretch on the back of the leg. So target area is the back of the leg. Good. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then relaxing that leg. Notice how the 2 legs feel. And then when you feel ready, placing the strap around the opposite leg. And again, just looking for the stretch in the back of the thigh. Comfortable, healthy stretch. Good. And again, explore maybe turning the foot out slightly or turning the foot in, and see if that alters the stretch in the leg. Good. Nice. Good job. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Good. And then relaxing the leg. You can place the strap to one side for now and just observe how you feel. Just observe how the 2 legs feel. Notice any sensations in the legs. And hopefully they feel nicely lengthened. Let's roll to one side and just push the earth away with the hands and come upright. And we can sit on the chair now. Actually, I've skipped a practice, but we'll add that to foot practice number 2, which I feel will be coming down the pipeline. Okay, so find your chair. come up slowly, let the sensations settle. But find your chair and sitting on your chair. Again, sitting with a nice long spine, a little bit away from the back of your chair. Have your block handy here. And I'm actually just going to turn my chair so that you can see how I'm sitting and what I'm doing. So I'm not going to use the back of the chair at all. Looking for about 90 degrees in the hips and the knees. So if you need something under the feet, if you're a little bit challenged in your leg length, then maybe get a couple of blocks under each foot so that you can sit comfortably and securely. And we are going to begin with lengthening one leg out in front of us. You can either use your strap or your hands underneath the thigh if you like. And we're just going to point and flex. Point and flex. And just notice how that feels. Keep the knee soft if you can. So we're not extending through the knee, we're working the foot here. Good. Keep breathing. Nice. And then we're going to bring the toes up towards the ceiling again and turn the foot out and in. So from the front, that looks like this. So we have external and internal rotation at the femur joint. And again, you're probably wondering what this has to do with the feet. It has everything to do with your feet and your structure. We have to stop thinking of our bodies like mechanical parts of a car that need to be replaced and think of them more of holistic beings that are completely connected. Good. Nice. And then we can switch sides. So lengthening the other leg, sitting up tall, try not to collapse. Use your core muscles. And point and flex. Point and flex. Good. A little bit of softness in the knee. Good job. Keep breathing. And then external, internal rotation at the femur joint, your hip joint. Nothing to do with the knees, all about your hips. Good. And this is hard work on your hip flexors, right? So just doing as much as you feel you're able to. Keep breathing. Good. And letting that go, you can bounce both feet. Okay, so this next movement's a little bit trickier. We sit up tall, nice long spine. We lengthen one foot out. Lift the toes, and actually you can lift the whole foot with the heel still on the floor. So we're flexing the foot and the toes, and then we're going to extend, bringing just the toes to the floor. So we're creating an arch. So we're deepening that arch in the foot. You may not enjoy that, but that's what happens. Then we push the foot down into the floor, slide it back, and then keeping the ball of the foot on the floor, lift the toes. So then we can put that all into a little flowy movement. So slide the foot out, pull the toes back towards the shin, point the toes and bring the toe tip to the floor. Flatten the foot, slide the foot back, push down into the ball of the foot and the heel and lift the toes. So this is getting into the plantar fascia on the base of the foot, and point the toe, flatten the foot, slide back, push down into the ball of the foot and the heel of the foot, lift the toes. One last time on this side. Pull the toes back towards the shin. Point the toes, bring the toe tip to the floor, deepening that arch. Flatten the foot, slide the foot back, push down into the ball of the foot and the heel of the foot, lift the toes. Good job. Let's switch sides. So I'm going to face back towards you so that you can see this from a different angle. So slide the foot out, lift the toes, point the toe towards the floor, flatten the foot, slide it back, lift the toes, push the ball of the foot and the heel of the foot into the floor as you lift the toes. Drop back a bit, slide out, pull the toes back towards the shin, pointed toe to the floor, flatten the foot, slide back, lift the toes, push the ball and the heel of the foot into the floor. Good. One last time. Slide out, pull the toes back towards the shin, point the toes, pointed toe to the floor, flatten the foot, pull it back, lift the toes, push the ball of the foot and the heel into the floor. Good. And just notice how that feels on the sole of the foot, in the kind of arch area of the foot. So maybe interesting sensations there, and that affects all the fascial network, the fascial system, all the way through your body. So interesting practice to work with and very beneficial for your feet. Okay, now we need our block, and I'm going to turn back to the side again. So taking your block, if you're using a yoga block, remember that it has 3 widths. This would be its narrowest width, then the middle size width, and then the widest width. I'm going to use the middle size width and just place the block between my thighs. So not between the knees, between your thighs. And just gripping the block comfortably. Don't bruise yourself, but you just want to hold on to the block comfortably. And then we, the key action here is to not push down on the feet. So we're going to lift the heels, but not using the feet. So the action is actually going to come from your hips and your core. So as you do this, smooth the bottom ribs in, think of engaging the core, and the action comes from the hips. So not pushing down into the feet, but lifting your heels and then lowering again. Lift the heels and lower. Imagine that you have eggs underneath your toes and you don't want to crush them. You don't want to break the eggshells. And keep your toes very, very light. And you're using all the action from in your hip flexors, essentially, and your core muscles. So sitting up tall, try not to slouch because that's going to strain your back. Sitting up tall, breathing deeply. It's hard work. Do as many repetitions as you're able to, maybe 10, maybe not that many. Keep breathing. No weight in the feet if you can. Good. Couple more repetitions. Good. One last one for luck. Good job. Okay, and then you can take the block away. Give everything a little bit of a shake. I'm going to come back and face you once again. Right, let's just stir the pot. So feet flat on the floor on raised blocks if you need that assistance. And then just moving the body to the side, forward, side and back. So circling over the pelvis if you like. This is called stirring the pot. So again, just helping the hips to relax a little bit here. You can make these circles as big or as small as you like. Shifting the weight into one foot and then the other. And then we can take that in the opposite direction. Keep breathing. Good. Nice, and gradually allowing that movement to subside. Let's take the knees and the feet really wide and inhaling, taking the arms up towards the sky, exhaling, settling the energy down. Inhale up, look up, exhaling down. Good. The next time we take the arms up, let's fold all the way forwards to your comfort level. If you have any eye concerns, maybe don't come all the way forwards, but otherwise allowing the head to drop towards the floor. Take a couple of nice deep breaths here. So big stretch for the inner thighs. Keep breathing. Roll the head from side to side. Release any tension in the neck and the base of the skull. Good. And then pushing into the feet. Roll up. And just let the sensation settle. You can walk your feet back in towards one another. Okay, so next we are going to practice a little bit of leg strengthening. So have the feet reasonably, we're going to come to standing, but using our leg strength. So have the feet reasonably underneath you. As we come up, there's going to be a counterbalance. You have to stick your butt out behind you, and there has to be that counterbalance, otherwise you fall flat on your face. So make sure that your feet are well enough underneath you that you find that center of gravity. And that might mean that your heels come off the floor, and that's fine. Then from here, we're going to use the muscles of the legs. So you can think of squeezing the feet together and squeezing the knees together, but they're not going to come together. Just think of that action, and you'll start to feel how that engages the muscles in the thighs, huge muscles in your thighs that we hardly ever use when we come to standing from a chair, but we're going to do that today. You can bring your hands to your hips. So think of squeezing the feet together, squeezing the knees together, and see if you can just, my heels have come to the floor now. I'm just going to hover above the chair, and this is literally called chair pose. Utkatasana in our Sanskrit, our yoga language. And you can continue to think of squeezing the feet. So this is very strengthening for the legs, very strengthening for those big muscles of the legs. Hold, keep breathing. If you need to sit back down again, go right ahead. It's more about technique in the end than actual sheer strength, but very, very strengthening for the legs. So it's about finding your center of gravity, finding that counterbalance and holding. Keep breathing. If you can't feel your legs yet, dip down a little bit more. If it feels too much, you can straighten the legs a little bit. And then when you've had enough, pushing down into the feet, push the hands down onto the hips. Just move my chair back a little bit. And don't move your feet. Just notice how grounded you feel on your 2 feet. Okay, so nice strong legs, relax the knees a little bit. Again, think about how you're standing. Stacking the big joints on top of one another. Head and neck more or less on straight. Take a couple of nice long breaths. Feel the soles of the feet on the floor. Be aware if there's more weight in one foot than the other. More weight to the fronts or the backs of the feet. If you're collapsing the inner arches, or if there's more weight on the outsides of your feet. I'm not saying there's any right or wrong here. It's just about awareness. Good. 2 more breaths. Good. Okay, let's try a balancing pose. So yogi's choice. If you have a favorite balancing pose, you go right ahead and do it. We will do a couple of minutes each side. And you can, of course, rest in between. So you do your yoga. I'm going to select my left leg as my standing leg. So shifting the weight down into that standing leg, dropping the tailbone down, smoothing the bottom ribs in, finding some core strength. Take a couple of nice deep breaths here. With each out breath, think of just pulling the belly back towards the spine a little bit, firming up the torso, relaxing on the in-breath. And then you may want to explore a little baby tree pose, just bringing the foot to the inside of the ankle. Maybe you keep those toes on the floor. Alternatively, you could just bend the knee and lift the foot in front of you if you like. If you need to use your chair or the wall, go right ahead. Don't look at me. Find something that's not moving. Stare at the floor or the wall or something that's nice and solid. And then if you want to take this a little bit further, you want to explore coming into the full tree pose. Pushing the foot into the thigh. You can take the arms somewhere above the head. There will be wobbling. That's okay. There will always be a wobble. It's never completely solid. Good. Keep breathing. Nice. If taking the hands above the head doesn't work, maybe press them in front of you. That's an alternative. These pants are really slippy. And I have oil on my feet too, so that doesn't help. But pressing the hands in front of you helps firm up all the core muscles. Stand up straight. Think about your structure here. Good. And then when you've had enough, shake it out. Hard work for that standing leg. And then we can switch sides. So selecting the opposite leg, grounding down. So I look fairly relaxed here, but I'm really thinking about grounding down in that standing leg, tucking the pelvis under a little bit, dropping that tailbone down, which firms up the muscles in the leg, firming up the core muscles, so tucking the bottom ribs in, stacking the big joints on top of one another, Spreading the toes, having a nice flat base on the floor, and then either just picking the spare leg up in front of you, maybe placing the foot onto the ankle to begin with. You can bring the hands to the hips if you don't need to hang on to something. And then maybe exploring coming into the full expression of the pose, or another expression of the pose, whatever works for you. Take a couple of nice deep breaths here. Good. Beautiful. Okay, and when you've had enough, relax, shake it out. Good stuff. Let's finish with a little bit of a calf muscle stretch. So find your block, or whatever you're using as a block. Place the toes on the block and take a step forward so that you can keep your balance. And bending that front knee, just stretch into the calf muscle. So a block may be too much for you. So use something that's narrower if you need to, a book or something. And just keep breathing here. Relax the knee, relax the foot. Having a nice static stretch on the back of the lower leg. Good. Flexing that ankle. Good. And then notice how the two legs feel as you let that go. And then switch sides. Always interesting to note any sensations elsewhere in the body, maybe further up the leg, or where else you feel the stretch, because that relates to our fascial matrix, the superficial fascial layer that's just below your skin, which runs throughout your entire body. And that is where your chi flows, or some of your chi flows, your prana. Keep breathing here. And that really does give us some evidence that stimulating one area of the body does have an effect on other parts of the body. Good. And letting that go. Notice how the two legs feel. Just come back to standing. Standing securely on your 2 feet. And let's just bring the hands to the lower dantian, where our jing, our essence, resides. Think about how you're standing here in Tadasana, mountain pose. Relax the shoulders, relax the face, standing securely on your 2 feet. And just noticing how you feel. Taking a few nice long breaths, a little bit of softness in the knees, awareness of the soles of the feet on the floor. Give your toes a little bit of a wriggle. Good. Nice. Relax the hands down. If you like, bring the hands to the prayer position in front of you, bowing the head in reverence to the practice. And thank yourself for taking this time for your feet and your entire body. And keep moving. Thank you for joining me. Namaste. And look out for the second installment of the foot series. So I think that will be coming. We're going to be doing some more of this. Okay, have fun. Take care. Oh, and remember, you don't have to do everything in this video. I've given you a selection of things. So pick and choose, design your own little practice around what I've given you here. But do something, keep moving and go for a walk. Take care.